what's your normal day now, being a pro sim racing and a VRS coach?
Yeah. So I mean, I guess my day consists of, obviously, like everyone else, getting out of bed, preparing yourself for the day ahead. The day starts relatively early, like any other job would, I suppose. You go out, do a little bit of practice, then do some, obviously, data packs for VRS, putting together the best thing that you can in terms of setup and data and all this other kind of stuff for everyone to be able to use, all the subscribers to be able to use. And then, sometimes you'll throw in the odd coaching session here and there, which I'm sure we'll get into a little bit more later on. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty. I mean, at least for me, it doesn't really consist of too much more other than that. I know for a lot of the other guys in the house, at least for sure, like they're obviously focusing on fitness and all this other kind of stuff. But I tend to just kind of do practice and obviously as much as I can for VRS at the same time. But yeah, I mean, I'm always trying to kind of improve myself as much as I can as a driver. So that's always at the forefront of my focus.
That's super nice. Well, fitness is something that comes on later because you're 19, aren't you?
20, yeah.
20. So when I was 20, I didn't do any fitness at all. And I was so slim. Now I'm 33 and I'm getting weight and I need to add fitness to my routine. So that will come with time. Do not worry. So also going into the coaching, because I feel that's really interesting. How do you manage talent? Because if I were, imagine an untalented Bob like myself, I wanted to drive myself to be a top split driver. I'm not saying like a pro or an esports legend, but just a top split driver. How would you go about making myself something like that?
Well, I guess, like you said, it does depend on skill level in terms of how long things will take to progress. But usually, we coach people of all different skill levels, whether it's sometimes even other guys in the World Championship Series, and then, your kind of entry level guys that have just got into the sim and they're just kind of wanting to figure out just a few little quirks that they're doing wrong and improve themselves from there. I guess it definitely does change the approach to the session for sure. We always look at the data beforehand to kind of get a rough idea of how we should approach the session, whether it's more of whether we need to focus more on driving line or whether it's more on technique or, try and figure out, at least before the session, what the kind of main issue is that we can try to work towards first to kind of try and do it in a form of kind of stepping stones, in 2 hours, we're not going to go from a rookie who's just started to a top split driver. It does take time. So we kind of need to at least try and progress in a way that we're not fast forwarding things. We're not trying to go too quickly, because then that's when you start to miss things. So we kind of try and do it in a way where we kind of have different phases. And then obviously a lot of people, they're kind of like how often that they undertake sessions definitely varies between clients, but at the end of the day, each session usually you always see an improvement, whether if it's not in lap time, then it's certainly in technique, and then they can go away from there and at least with some positives and work on improving on those aspects even further. Usually you don't see massive gains within the session itself, but then afterwards, most of the time people always come back and be pleased with what they've achieved outside of the session. So I think it definitely varies in terms of skill level, and it does definitely change how we approach the session. But
So it's more like a roadmap to help people not only put their time, but put content into their time, not do meaningless laps on their own, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And basically, I guess having someone there just kind of gives you a little bit of a reassurance on maybe what you're changing in your driving, or at least giving you an idea of an area to improve on, rather than just kind of driving around and doing the same thing lap on lap. Obviously, it varies. Some people can make those adjustments themselves, but other times, sometimes you need someone to push you to kind of step outside of your comfort zone and make those changes. So I think that's probably where people find the most gain out of having someone there watching them, is kind of someone pushing them to kind of step outside their comfort zone and try new things, because ultimately at the end of the day, if you're not trying new things, you're not really learning. So I think that's at least like the gist of it there.
That's really nice. And if any of our viewers wanted to see you, like, do you have any coaches in Spanish, or where can they find you?
So obviously on virtualracingschool.com is where we've kind of got all that stuff. Basically, we've got a tier system of subscription. Once you step up into the competitive subscription, you gain access to the one-on-one coaching segment. In terms of Spanish coaches, if I just pull it up, I believe obviously we've got Pablo, which you guys are
He's
very
a very
familiar
well-known community contributor for the Spanish community.
Yeah. I think Johnny Guindy, I think he's Mexican, so he would speak Spanish. But other than that, but other than that, I think that kind of is the extent of Spanish. I mean, pretty much everyone can speak English though, so like that's if there were Spanish clients that wanted someone and they could speak English, then that's not an issue. But yeah, in terms of the Spanish guys or Spanish speaking guys, it would be Guindy and Pablo.
Yes, just to make sure, like, people who do not know English, that they also have someone to coach them in the areas. I wanted to make that clear. So that's very good. Talking to like the competitive side of your job, I wanted to touch on the recent victory you had in FormulaE in Hong Kong. I've read that you will have the opportunity to, if you win, like the whole thing, to get into a FormulaE. Would you like that, and would you try to impress them the same way like Rudy did in the World's Fastest Gamer and try to get a job?
I mean, at the end of the day, the prize for that series is a little bit of track time in a Formula E car on a race weekend. I think, I mean, with everything going on at the moment, especially in the midst of the kind of global crisis that's going around, I think motorsport in terms of the real world is definitely taking us a little bit more seriously, and that's why opportunities like that are on the horizon. I think for us, I think everyone is going to have the same goal and the end goal of wanting to do that. Not every sim racer wants to kind of turn things into a real motorsport career, but I definitely like to think that a lot of them wouldn't turn down the opportunity. At least for me, coming from a karting background and a motorsport background, it was a goal of mine in the past. So it's not something that I would take lightly. I'd definitely grab it with both hands and take the opportunity. But I think everyone's going to go out there and try to impress as much as they can. But at the end of the day, I think much like real motorsport, it's all about who you know, not what you know. But the prize is there. So whoever wins that is is going to have the opportunity of a lifetime. But I think everyone's going to go out there and try and do their best and impress as much as they can.
That would be really nice. As a fellow sim racer, I really root for all the sim racers that are on the track, on the asphalt. Like in the case of Rudy, then in the case of James, and I really hope, like, if you are able to make it, I would be really hyped personally. So that's nice. Also, I'd like to touch a little bit on the Porsche Esports Supercup, or well, now it's like the tag here or here. I don't know how to pronounce it. But
Porsche
Esports.
tag by Porsche Esports.
Yeah.
Or Porsche tag by Esports. It's confusing.
It's really confusing. So the first round is on Sanford, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, correct.
We heard, I don't know if you've seen an article in the race, or if you're seeing like Lando Norris preparing for a race with his engineer. How How do you prepare for the race? Do you work as a team to do it? Do you work like with engineers? How different is the preparation of a sim racer than a real racer?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess our access to tools in terms of from sim racing to real racing is very, very different. We don't have kind of dedicated engineers on the spot there to kind of go through things like that. For the most part, for us, and I think it's the same for a lot of other teams. We're all working together as a group, as a collective, and for us, we as drivers, we're essentially also the engineer as well. We're making the setup changes, we're analyzing things in mode tech, we're doing all that kind of stuff. So we're, I guess, questioning ourselves more than we are other people, and that's I guess the main difference in terms of sim racing and real racing is that in the real motorsport that they have access to tens of, sometimes even at the factory hundreds of engineers in Formula One, all kind of working together with the same goal, looking at all these things in different ways, and that's how they can come up with so many different ideas. When you look at the Mercedes DAS system, I think
It's been banned,
with
hasn't it?
probably, but I'm not sure. But still, like without lots of different people looking at different things with different perspectives, something like that probably wouldn't come to fruition. So I think it's a massive difference there in terms of real motorsport sim racing. But I mean, I guess for us, we're kind of doing both things. So it can make things a little bit easier sometimes, but also certainly a little bit more challenging. But we're all working together as a team, putting our heads together in a similar way, and trying to obviously come up with the best package at the end of the day.
But your teammate is also your a competitor. You could be like preparing a setup that will give your teammate the win.
Potentially, I'm sure. But I think for us, at least, the result of the team is at the forefront. And I think for me too, at least personally, I've got no issue with working with teammates and pushing them forward, because that only pushes me to work harder. So I think it works kind of in a circle, I guess, in terms of motivation. If you work together with someone, they gain 2/10, then it makes you work even harder to gain those 2/10 back. So I think, to be honest, at least for me, it's a positive for all. Working together and kind of pushing everyone forward. I mean, basically that was the first thing that I did when I joined this team at the start of 2019. Is basically just kind of going through things and trying to improve myself as much as I can. I had a new benchmark, a new target, and that was the only motivation to go out there and try and grab it. So I think at the end of the day, sure, you could be producing something that could win the race for someone else, but it's only motivation for yourself too.
Nice. Mac Backham was commenting on the live stream the other day how hard were you pushing them in the aspect of pace. I don't know if you do it also like personally, but only your pace was pushing all of them to work harder. So that's the thing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess for me, if it's in that case, then it's always just trying to keep the margin kind of to a similar extent. So, if they gain a 10th whether they go faster than you or not, it still pushes you to try and work that bit harder.
Nice. Also, another question we have a lot is how the new tires feel, because we had an update, didn't we? And It was focused on the cold tires. So I remember Ian Khan Guben, the Porsche driver, saying that the tires weren't all that good. So do you think these are better, more realistic, better for competition, less realistic? What do you think?
I mean, at least for me, I've not driven the real thing, so I can't really comment too much on the realism. But at least from a competition aspect, I think at the moment things are a little bit tricky. The tire degradation is quite high, so it's very, very tricky to kind of get yourself into battles and not hurt yourself later on in the race because of it. So I think, to be honest, we'll probably see a lot of nose to tail racing, but probably not too many crazy battles like we might have seen last year. From a feeling perspective, I think the car certainly feels very different. To me personally, it's not something that I prefer. But it does have its positives, and I think it probably takes a little bit more finesse now in terms of getting the car through the race without having any issues. You have to drive the car much smoother now, can't slide it so much, and it's a little bit more unpredictable on bumps and things like that. It feels a little bit stiffer now, so like from the sprung tires. So I think as a whole, in some senses, it's certainly a positive. In others, I think it could impact the racing a little bit. But that being said, we don't really know until round one comes around. So we'll see, and hopefully I'm proved wrong come this weekend.
Yeah, I'm really pumped up for round one. Who do you think is obviously you're the defending championship champion, but who do you think are the favorites for round one, and who do you think is going to benefit from the new tires?
I'm not sure, to be honest. We haven't really necessarily been able to do too much racing with the other Supercup guys to kind of get a good reference. I think the test race definitely showed that Sebi Jobs got things sorted out quite well, and he's got really good speed. So he's obviously going to be a tough one to beat. Be naive to say that. Exactly. I think I'd be naive to say that Max Binnicker wouldn't be up there either. I think he's certainly going to be a challenger, as well as guys like Mitchell, and I think Martin. The new tyre is definitely going to suit him a little bit better. He's got a very smooth driving style, so I think there's going to be a lot of guys up there battling for wins, more guys than what there was last year, especially with some of the newcomers like I think Damore and Josh Anderson, a lot of the new guys that came into the series this year, Jeff Gassi as well. They're all going to be up there fighting up the pointy end, so it's going to make things quite challenging. And to be honest, it's going to be a little bit of a lottery as to who's going to win. So it's a little bit difficult to kind of I don't know, pick favorites, but yeah, there's going to be a lot of guys up there fighting for it.
Okay, the last thing I want to touch on before we let you go is esports, in my opinion, need stories. The difference between sports and esports is we don't have a story to tell the same way that we have on esports. No, like maybe the upbringing of a personal football player or whatever. We don't have that in esports, and I think we need them. We need like a villain and we need a hero. So who do you think are the villains, are the hero for these years? I'll tell you my favorites. So normally we have an up-and-coming star that challenges the established dominance of someone. So you would be my villain because you are the established winner. And this year we have the Verstappen coming in. How do you think that would pan out as a story?
I mean, to be honest, I think Max is going to bring an abundance of attention to the series, so that's fantastic. And I mean, I'd agree too that we do definitely need this story. I think, to be honest, the biggest thing for me is building the connection between the driver and the fan base. I think in the past we've kind of lacked that a lot, and it's really been focused more so on the racing, which isn't a bad thing. But there was never really a personal aspect to it. You never see the drivers driving. You don't even know what they look like. Whereas now, I think we're definitely heading towards that direction, which is good in terms of bringing that personal side in. But yeah, I think Max is going to bring an insane amount of attention to the series this year, and his pace is strong. So I'm sure he'll be up there fighting for them too, which, to be honest, is only a positive in more ways than one. So yeah, I think I agree with you there that we definitely need that story and kind of the heroes and villains. And yeah, I think with Max, it should be a fantastic season.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We had a lot more questions, but I think we took enough of your time. So thank you very much for giving us this interview. We'll see how it goes, and I'm really pumped up for this weekend. I really want to see if you're able to give the pace you've been giving all this year and last year. You have a fan here. I'm also a fan of other racing drivers. I'll tell you, I really enjoy other streamers like maybe Beneke or something, but you have a fan in me.
No, thanks. Yeah, fingers crossed everything goes well. I think preparation's been good, so I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, I guess the goal is always going to be to defend the championship, but there's a long way to go till then. So yeah, I mean, fingers crossed. Hopefully, we can get through turn one. That'll be the interesting thing.
Will you stream anything or not?
It's been something that I've been wanting to do, but I'm not sure whether it's kind of entirely on the cards in terms of like a personal stream. I think we're planning on doing a few things on the VRS account at some point throughout the season in terms of streaming kind of what's going on in the house during the race. Like, so Mac, myself, and Dave, of course. But I'm not 100% sure. I mean, it's something that I'd like to do. But as of late, I don't know, I just haven't been able to find the time. Really, everything's been crazy with everything going on as well. Like the workload in general has been through the roof. So,
Well, that's a good thing, isn't it?
yeah, no, it's definitely a positive. It's what we kind of want to see from this. It shows that we're getting more attention than what we have in previous years. So that's, in terms of for the sport, that's fantastic. But yeah, I'm not sure. It's something that I definitely like to work towards. I did a little bit of it last year and stuff, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I've definitely been enjoying the VRS streams from in-house, so I look forward to that. Thank you very much, Josh, and we'll hope to see you doing well on the Porsche Esports Supercup and whatever championship you enter in.
No worries. Thank you. Have a good one, guys. Thanks for chatting.